Hey, welcome back to the Positive Side Podcast. Glad you're tuning in. Coming to you live from the world headquarters, and people all over the galaxies tuning in. I appreciate you more than you know. The Positive Side Podcast is back and better than ever. And today we get a very, very, very special guest. My man Tom Paladino is going to come on here in just a second. Now, Tom is a researcher and humanitarian seeking to make a difference in the world by providing people with education and tools to restore optimal health, and by helping enhance their quality of life. Tom began his research with Scalar Energy, and that's what really we're going to get him on here for. And I can't wait just to dive down deep. Let's bring him on in. Tom, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, thank you. How you doing, Jeremy?
Dude, I am doing so good, man. I'm like, the weather was perfect today. It's sunny, and I love the sun, man. I think I have that what do you call that? Seasonal depression, like when it's cloudy and stuff like that. I'm just miserable. I don't feel good. But when it's a sunny day, gosh, I feel like $1,000,000. And today was one of those days. It was beautiful outside, not too hot, man. So long story short, yeah, brother, I'm doing great. But I appreciate you jumping on the show, my friend. And I want to jump right into it. Let's talk about scalar energy. Let's talk about what it is. And I find it very, very fascinating because I watched, I've been on your website and I watched that video that was on there. And I think you even got recommended from a friend of mine to come on the show. So first of all, like, introduce yourself, and then let's talk about what is scalar energy.
Sure. Scalar energy. I research scalar energy. What is scalar energy? It's the other energy. It's not electricity. It's not magnetism. There are two energies in the universe. I prefer to work with scalar energy because it's much more versatile. So a scalar energy instrument, which I have, which I am able to control scalar energy, allows me to have mastery over physical matter as opposed to that of electricity. So in a nutshell, I'm a scalar energy researcher. I've developed scalar energy instruments, and I'm able to do incredible things with these instruments.
Now, within the video, you were talking about how you used an example of a photograph, and through your equipment, you can actually take the energy that we give off, the scalar energy of our actual of who we are, and you can connect with that through some of your equipment. And I find that extremely fascinating because, and again, I'm going to butcher all of this stuff, so bear with me a little bit. But basically, what you're talking about is within scalar energy is we all have an energy source that is very unique to us. And by having this photograph and having who we are, you can connect with that energy source. And you mentioned in the video, which I thought was a great way to connect them. When one cell phone can find another cell phone, it's very, very similar to where we all have the energy. We all have that code or that signal that we put out. I guess talk a little bit more about how that actually works. Like and talk a little bit more about the energy source also, because I talk about it all the time and I love it. That's why I wanted you on the show, but you break it down a little bit more for us.
Okay, sure. So scalar energy is from the sun and the stars. It originates from the stars, and it's everywhere because of that fashion. So it's really a holographic energy. It's omnipresent. And the fact that I can tap into that energy, I can do that either locally with a person in my laboratory, or I can do it by way of a person's photograph.
Heck yeah.
So I prefer to work with people's photographs. I actually take a photograph of a person. This is my photo, and I place it inside the scalar energy instrument. So with that in mind, I am able to access, as you mentioned, the force field on a photograph. That's quite fascinating. This is the new science of scalar energy. It's not electricity. And this is the science that I've developed.
Well, you also talk about how when throughout the video, and I know we talked, and Tesla was in that as well. And I'm always fascinated with Tesla. How does Tesla tie into scalar energy? Because I think what Tesla was talking about, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but he had a way to create energy that would be free for everybody, where you wouldn't need electric coming in your house because electric's already always around us, and we could tap into that and get free electricity for everyone and for forever. It's a resource that will never run out. Yet here we are paying for bills and electric bills and all these other things. So how does that tie all into what you're doing?
Exactly. That's precisely what I'm doing. So I'm working with an energy instrument that can send energy anywhere in the world by way of a person's photograph. Tesla was working with power instruments that he wanted to power any home or any office with his instrument. Well, I just work with people or animals for that matter. but it shows you that scalar energy can be used as a broadcast device, can send energy anywhere in the world, whether it's to a person or a factory. So that's wireless transmission of energy. Now, keep in mind, when I'm working with my instrument, I only work by way of a person's photograph. I can detect a person's force field and send energy to that person. This is the new science of scalar energy. This is what Tesla was proposing, wireless transmission of energy. And again, what Tesla, he was the first one to harness scalar energy in my estimation. He was the first one to propose this free energy to mankind. Why is it free? It's from the sun, it's from the stars. My energy is not from a power plant, it's from the sun or the stars.
So when you say send me energy, what exactly do you mean by send me energy? Is it energy that I can use to power something, or is it energy to get me going to help my mind? I mean, what, like, break that down a little bit more too.
Sure. The modality that I've perfected, I'm able to take a person's photograph and send energy to them to, say, break apart or disassemble microbes, germs. Or I can take this energy and I can send it into your photograph, and that would instruct your body to create, assemble nutrients. Again, I'm doing all of this by way of your photograph. So your photograph is symbolic of you, but it nonetheless connects the photograph to you. And with that in mind, I can improve human health by way of a person's photograph.
So you can take my photograph, punch it into your machine.
Yes.
And then again, just a hypothetical. I'm battling. I've got a flu or something. You could send me energy to help break that apart to help me heal faster.
Correct. Exactly. Exactly. I'll give you, for instance, people send us photographs and they complain that they are infected with the herpes virus. Well, the way this instrument is calibrated, we can break down viruses, including the herpes virus. And after I work with these people, many people say that they no longer have any symptoms of the herpes virus. And some of them go as far as to get a test result. And that test result is negative. That shows no viral load for herpes. So I'll let the audience make their conclusion, but I will go on record. Everybody that I've ever worked with that had herpes no longer has herpes.
What about COVID? If someone has COVID,
Right.
How would that? How would you help someone with COVID? Like,
The instrument can be instructed to break down any virus, including COVID-19.
so you punch this. So you punch, like, when you say you send energy, are you punching in a certain code? Like, what are you punching in to send?
Yeah. The way I instruct the instrument is with actual magnified photographs of those microbes. So if I were to take a photograph of, say, the herpes virus and place it in this instrument, the instrument, again, is a source of light, and you're looking at that source of light of the herpes virus, a magnified photograph of the herpes virus. So the interpretation is of the light pattern or the molecular pattern found on the photograph. So a photograph of herpes instructs the instrument to break down and destroy the herpes virus.
So, I mean, again, so it's very similar. You could have the COVID virus,
Yes.
a picture of the COVID virus.
Correct.
You put it into the instrument,
Yes.
and based on the light energy that gives off,
Yes.
you can break down that and send that energy based to me, based with my photograph, because it's uniquely me. Because we're all obviously uniquely individual. We are who we are.
Right.
So you could send that to me if I had COVID virus, and it would help break that disease up, and it would go away.
By negating the molecular structure of a virus, we can break down the molecular structure, the molecular bonds of a virus. Once you do that, the virus falls apart.
If I had cancer.
No, I've not perfected cancer. My specialty is with microbes, germs.
Oh, okay. I mean, man, oh man, if you could figure out how to do it with cancer, holy smokes, that would be unbelievable as well.
Right.
Why did you start doing this?
I was enthralled with the work of Nikola Tesla, and I've studied Tesla as a teenager, and I knew that he was onto something, and I wanted to further his work. And now, at my age of 61, I think I'm close to being able to introduce the world once again, or reintroduce to the world, the work of Nikola Tesla. Tesla was correct. Tesla was right. Tesla saw that there's two energies in the universe. He was the first man to control scalar energy.
I mean, I love Tesla too. And what was the one thing he created? And my kid was trying to create it the other day or like last year. I don't remember what it was, but it's a Tesla coil. Tesla coil, right?
Yeah, yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. He was trying to make one of those, and I think he's still working on it. But it just, I mean, again, my family's been fascinated with Nikola Tesla forever. So,
Yeah.
well, explain how scalar energy is everywhere in the universe and thus transcends time and space. Like, how does that work?
Okay, keep in mind that scalar energy is not electricity. They're two different paradigms, they're two different dimensions. Again, scalar energy originates from the stars, and the stars, so to speak, will broadcast scalar energy. So scalar energy is the universal energy because it's star energy. Now, what I have discovered, and other scientists have discovered, that stars are really responsible for time. That is, the scalar energy that is broadcast or emanates from a star is responsible for the progression of time. So you could really almost consider time as a river. If water flows through a river, then time likewise flows. And what causes that flow of time? It's scalar energy. So scalar energy is the cause of time.
Yeah, that's interesting too. Like, is that similar to where we can go back and figure out exactly how long the universe has been here? Is that a part of scalar energy as well? Because it's a timeline and I can see
It
what
is
has
a
happened.
timeline.
So I
It
can,
is that, yes, exactly. It is a timeline. And that's what we discover with scalar energy. Where you are on that timeline is the event that you can isolate in history. If you were to reverse a scalar wave, you could go back in time, back on the timeline, and you could revisit something 200 years ago in the past.
I mean, it just blows me away. That like, how long have you been working on this?
My life, 40, 50 years.
What do it's so unique, and that's why I love the conversation, because most people aren't going to be like, who in the hell is this guy talking about? I'm sure you've heard that before. What do you tell people? I think it would just be with everyone so skeptical nowadays, and I think that's part of the problem with society. We're so close-minded that we only look for one answer, and typically that one answer for all of our problems is call the doctor and get prescribed medicine, or it's what we've been told through schooling and all these things over our lifetime. And I just think we've been fed so much bullshit for so long that it's hard to be open-minded to different ideas and different concepts, like with what you're bringing. What kind of How do you handle that pushback? Like, what do you say to people that say, Tom, there's no way, this doesn't make any sense, I don't believe it?
I want people to investigate, and I don't mind tough questions. As long as people are sincere, I will answer a sincere question. And I tell people, go to my website and look at the results. Look at the thousands upon thousands of testimonies in which their health has been improved. Look at the results. I want to perform, and I do perform. And I want people to note my performance. I'm all about performance. I'm not a talker, I'm a doer. So the key element is, does it work? Yes, it does. Look at my website and you'll see performance.
I didn't get into the actual form. I didn't check that far into your website, and I'm just curious because I would think that some people would say that, um, would has anyone, and I'm trying to be all respectful, I'm not trying to be an asshole, I promise, but does it have a placebo effect? Because I think sometimes when people say things that they say, well, I want to feel better, and Tom's going to send me, the energy that I need. But the mind is a powerful. I mean, I guess they go to hand and get hand. I guess I'm only answering my same question. I'm answering the question with my question, because if as powerful as the brain is, and there's electrodes and stuff, we don't even know how our body works with all the different energies. Is it possible that it is a placebo effect, but it's actually giving us the positive thoughts that it is working? Like, how do you have, I guess, is there any scientific proof that it is actually working, or is it the power of the mind convincing ourselves that? Because I think there's some truth to that too. That you see people with, they always say keep a positive attitude. If you get, if you have two people that get extremely ill with, I'll just use cancer as an example. A lot of times you'll say that people that have the higher energy or the more positive attitude will typically, or not typically, but have a chance to heal faster or actually cure themselves because of the way they think about their positive energy, their positive self-talk. How do you prove exactly what you're talking about and not have it be that?
I would say the placebo effect has to be factored in because everybody has free will and everybody can either accept or reject what I'm doing, accept the quantum healing or reject it. Secondly, how do I prove this? The only way I can prove this is by people and their response. And I think one of the telling cases is that everybody that I've ever worked with, say with the herpes virus or HIV, after I work with them, all of those cases, there's no sign of herpes or HIV. Now, I can only prove things in my laboratory by way of a photograph. Remember, I don't work with people. And I don't say that this it has anything to do with Western medicine or Newtonian physics. It does not. This is a new science. So I can prove what I'm doing in my laboratory with my instrument. And the only way I can have proof is if people say they feel better or not, because I'm not there with people. Remember, I only work with their force field on a photograph.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that too, because and I'm probably one of the most, I'm extremely open-minded to things like this. And I think there's, like, as I mentioned earlier, there's so many things about this universe and about the human body that we have no idea about. And yet we predetermine um, what we predetermine that people are wrong before we actually investigate and be open-minded to those possibilities. Because there's so many possibilities out there that, we just don't know about. So why would you count anything out if we don't exactly know about it?
Yeah, thank you.
I find it interesting too that you mentioned HIV. So is it very similar? You take a picture of the HIV,
Right.
someone's got HIV, you
Yes.
can send them the energy to break up the HIV as well.
Yes, precisely. Now you see that there's no human interplay here. I'm not interpreting anything. I'm using a light instrument that interprets photographs, which are a source of light. So I am working with this fundamental construct. I'm keeping everything at the fundamental level of light. There's no human ingenuity called into play. There's no room for human error. Light is fundamental and light never makes a mistake. And if my instrument is working properly, then I can instruct my light instrument to break down the light pattern in HIV. Everything is held together by scalar light. So if my two fingers represents the molecular bonds of the HIV virus, I simply negate those molecular bonds and the HIV virus falls apart.
What is your instrument made of? Like
It's
how
custom,
did
it's
I'm
custom
not
built.
okay.
I
I guess I'm not looking for exactly how to make one at my own house, but what is it? What kind of metals is it made? Is it? I'm just curious about that too.
it's an engineering feat, and I've worked with more than one engineer to perfect this approach. And in many ways, we've copied two scientists, Nikola Tesla and Galen Hieronymus. These two men were scalar energy experts, researchers, and both men had functioning scalar energy instruments. So with that in mind, we're copying, if you will, and this is the most recent model of Tesla instruments, the most recent model of Hieronymus instruments. Tesla and Hieronymus were some of the few experts in scalar energy engineering.
Who's I've never heard of Hieronymus. Tell me a
Yeah,
little bit about him.
I wouldn't think of. He started his career as an electrician at the Kansas City Power and Light Company, and throughout his career, he knew that there was another energy, just like Tesla. These are two brilliant men. So Tesla and Hieronymus began their career with AC electricity, but they ended their careers with scalar energy because they saw the merit of scalar energy, and they both were geniuses in their own way. The fact that both of them understood that AC electricity was indeed a valid energy, but they developed this appreciation for the other energy, scalar energy. Very few scientists ever had that ability. Both men had that ability.
What other things do scalar energy help? We mentioned just, we were talking about herpes and HIV,
Right.
and what other health benefits can scalar energy offer to somebody that's just normal day-to-day stuff?
What I've perfected with this instrument, when I'm working with a person's photograph, their photograph contains or has embedded their brain waves or their seven chakras or their seven meridians. So when I'm working with my instruments, I'm able to recalibrate in some way their brain waves or their seven chakras. And with many people, that produces a state of calm and tranquility. So I have always said that scalar energy will be used as the tool in the future for mental health. And I hold to that statement.
So, if you're battling depression, you're battling an addiction of some sort, is that something you would work with?
Yes. And keep in mind that this energy, which I consider to be divine energy, is healing unto itself. I don't instruct this energy. The energy has a mind of its own. I firmly believe it's directly from God. So, scalar energy has shown to prove to be effective in helping people overcome alcohol or cigarette addiction or drug addiction.
And that would be, again, same thing that you would do. You would have a picture of the person, picture of,
Yes.
I guess, would you have an alcohol, or would it be a,
Yes,
a nic-
I'll give you for instance. I
okay.
would take a magnified photograph, for instance, of cocaine, and I would place that magnified photograph of cocaine in the instrument, and then the instrument would start breaking down the molecular bonds of cocaine, and it would negate not only the physical structure of cocaine, but also the emotional or the psychic hold of cocaine.
I mean, brother, it sounds, pretty amazing.
Yeah, it
Once again, we're
is.
talking to Tom Paladino. Where where do you see this going into the future? If I look 10 years ahead from now, what would you like to see happen with scalar energy?
Scalar energy is about to change the world. Scalar, this new technology is about to change the trajectory of mankind.
In when? A year, 5 years? Where do you
That
see 10
that's
years
up
from
to
now?
God. That's up to God. But I would say, hopefully, within the next 10 years, if people accept this, this is a gift from God. Within the next 10 years, you're going to see many people embrace scalar energy, and there's so many applications. What I've mentioned are just some of the modalities, some of the ways that I work with people, the way that I treat photographs. Scalar energy can be used as a power source. It can be used as an anti-gravity a propulsion system. There's so many applications.
Unbelievable. Paladino, you just blew my mind. It's unbelievable. But like everybody else, my friend, whoever comes on the show, I always get to ask these seven questions as well. And we're going to get into it right now, my friend. And man, I'm just still blown away with some of these things you're telling me. And when we got to our call today, I'm gonna do some research here in the next weeks, and I think I'm gonna reach out to you as well, man. I just like anybody, I'm always going to be a little skeptical at first, but I'm open-minded to it, and I would like to try it and see, go all in, like, with no hesitation, and be completely open-minded. I think that's a recommendation for everybody around the world, no matter what you're doing, right? No matter what you're doing in life, just be, you can have a little skepticism. That's part of human nature, but at the same time, don't let the human skepticism hold you back for taking new chances and trying to become a better person and live a healthier life. So I think that's one of the most important things that I really want to get across more than anything, before we get into these questions. So let's get into the questions. One of my favorite books of all time is by John Maxwell, and he has these seven great questions, and it's from his book, Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. So, Tom Paladino, are you ready, my friend?
Go ahead.
Question
Sure.
number one is, what is the greatest lesson you've ever learned?
Love God, love your neighbor, love yourself. I think if we follow that theme, the world would be a much better place.
You believe 100% that there is a God,
Oh yeah, of course.
and God created everything,
Yes.
universes, and been around for millions and millions and millions of years.
We have an uncreated supreme God. Yes.
Just curious. Question number two is, what are you learning now?
Every day is a learning experience. This is what I love, not only about my research, but about life. Everything's a learning experience. I never stop learning. I have a thirst for knowledge. I have a thirst for wisdom. So every day is a day of opportunity. I never let a day go by.
It's funny you say that, because my background, I was a terrible student in high school, and I was a college dropout, and I was just terrible at a lot of different things. However, in my later years, I am in my early 40s now, that I have a thirst for knowledge. There's so much information out there that I know nothing about. And man, you're exactly right. Every single day, I wake up and try and learn something new. And again, another reason to have you on the show is just because I want to learn about scalar energy. I knew nothing about it until about last week. I started looking into it a little bit, and this conversation has been great. So again, I appreciate you coming on the show. Question number 3 is, how has failure shaped your life?
You learn from failure. You learn from your mistakes. And if you really look at it in a positive sense, the failure is an opportunity now to succeed. You've eliminated what doesn't work. So now just concentrate and make that correction. I I don't look at failure as failure. It's a lesson. It's a lesson.
Yeah, can you imagine if you never had a failure? I always talk about this. Well, I don't always. Sometimes I talk about this on the show where if you went through life and had zero failures, and you go through life, which is my normal life with all kinds of failures, the progression of how much further I've come with failures is tenfold if I had no failures at all in my life. And I think that's something we really need to look at, is failure is moving on, it's failing forward. And I love that perspective.
Mhm.
Question number 4 is, who do you know that I should know?
Mm. Uh, well, let me just stick to my focus, my career.
Yeah.
If you're really enthralled with this, read Nikola Tesla, and I could recommend that you would read his biography and a few other works. Tesla is just fascinating. Once you really get into his career, you see that he was so far ahead of the world, and his genius really is in many ways unparalleled.
All right. Well, I'll take a look at that. But who do you know personally that I should know?
You should know my wife. She's a wonderful woman.
Really? Well, tell me about her.
She's my mainstay. She's the main person in my life. I've got a great wife, Nita, and I could not be a happier guy. I've got
Isn't
a
that
great
cool?
wife.
Isn't that cool, man? When you have the attitude of gratitude with someone that's right next to you, going on this journey with you,
Yeah.
just makes you feel like,
Makes it
that
worth
you're,
your while. It gives me something to look forward to in life. I can't study all the time, can I?
yeah, you got that right, pal. Absolutely. Question number 5 is, you kind of mentioned it, but what have you read that I should read?
In reference to my work, Tesla, you can't find anything on Hieronymus. I've met his family, and I work with Hieronymus's family closely. But Tesla, if you really, once again, pierce into that mystery, you will see that he was really responsible for the modern day age. Without any question, without equivocation, it was Tesla who gave us the modern day age.
Is there a specific Tesla book that is the best book?
I've purchased many Tesla books. You're going to have to find the one that's right for you. Some of them are technical. I've read a book on Tesla that he had his notes from his Colorado Springs experimentation. Fascinating notes. I can't say that I understand everything that he was trying to impart, but nonetheless, even if you only understand a fraction of what he's doing, you realize he's such a brilliant mind,
Where
so
does that
far ahead.
brilliance come from? Like, it's almost like he's like from a different planet. Like,
Let me say this. At night, and this is in Tesla's word, Tesla said that he was visited by flashes of light, that God would give him this download with this infused wisdom, and he would actually see physically flashes of light. And in those flashes of light, he would see his inventions. So this was imparted by God, these flashes of light. God gave him this afflatus, God gave him this download, call it what you will. And this infused wisdom allowed him to be such a prolific inventor. Now, that's the easy way to do it, as opposed to hard work and to study
yeah,
and
right.
trial and error. Tesla knew in a flash how to build something, how to engineer something. So that it shows how much God must have trusted him.
It's fascinating too. I'm definitely gonna read his book. I'm looking for another book to read anyway, so that'll be the next one. I promise you that, my friend.
Yeah.
Question number 6 is, what have you done that I should do?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I'll speak for myself.
Yeah.
I make every day count. I can't say every day is a home run or a grand slam, but every day I try and every day I learn something and I always make progress. And because of that, I have a very meaningful life. I'll speak for myself. I have goals, I have aspirations. Some days are great days, and some days I don't necessarily succeed at what I want to do. But nonetheless, I have goals and I have something to look forward to every day. And so some people call that a purpose-driven life, and I would recommend that.
Hmm. Are you a checklist guy? You make checklists
Yes.
and okay.
Yeah, I had 5 or 6 functions today that I checked off, and I accomplished everything. I had a good day today. I was productive.
It sounds like it. Don't you always feel good when you get a productive day? It's like the best feeling in the world. Like you just, it's like there was a guy that I listened to as naval admiral, and he talked about one of the things you can do to start your day out with a win is make your bed. And I make my bed literally every single day. I make it just because of
You're-
what he said. You just
Yeah.
get this sense of accomplishment and you get the ball rolling. And even if you're, like he says, even if your day sucks and it's shitty, you come home to a made bed. And it's the best thing in the world. And I've really taken that to heart
Yeah,
over the last 7 years, probably.
there's merit to that because it trains you. It trains you to be specific. It trains you to be organized. It gives you certain requirements, certain goals. Laziness is the pathway to doom and gloom.
Yeah, absolutely. Question number 7 for Tom Paladino. Tom, how can I add value to you, my friend?
You have. Thank you for the platform. You have. Thank you. I thank you for helping me get the word out. To be blunt with you, this is a grassroots movement. My scalar energy technology has always been suppressed because it's, if you will, a threat to the powers that be. So thank you for the platform.
Oh, hell yeah, man. I loved having you on the show. This has been great. Tom, hey, man, again, thanks for being on the show. Tell everybody where they can find you.
My website is scalarlight.com. Anybody in the world can visit us and email us now if you're inclined. Send us your photograph. Or again, I work with people remotely by way of their photograph. So scalarlight.com, visit the website. You can upload photographs of your entire family. We'll work with you free of charge for 15 days. That's how I will prove to you that there is merit to a quantum healing, a scalar energy healing.
That's a hell of an offer, my friend. I mean, and for everybody out there listening all around the world, boy, oh boy, why wouldn't you, right? I mean, if it's gonna be 15 days for free and it doesn't work, I mean, it doesn't cost you anything, right? But if it does
Correct.
work, then hey, man, I mean, let's keep doing it, right? So, I mean, it goes back to what I talked about, and that's what I love about all my people that listen to this show is that, we're very open minded, we're authentic, we're flawed, but we are who we are, and we're very open minded, and we're always gonna look at the positive side, pun intended, but it's reality. I mean, we're trying to live that better life and trying to get better and not. And man, I just keep saying it, but be open-minded to things. And that's what life is all about.
Yeah.
Tom, I appreciate you being on the show, my friend. Man, I learned a ton, and I'm gonna definitely check it out, bro. You'll hear from me soon because I like to just like I said, hey, let's see if it works for me. I've got some things that boy, I've got some things you can work on. Holy smokes, my goodness, you might have to like call in extra staff and take a dive a little bit deeper in for me, buddy. But hey, I'll send you my picture and we'll figure it out from there. But I appreciate you jumping on the show.
Thank you, Jeremy.
You bet. Everybody out there, go check out Tom and check out his website and get involved. For everybody else listening, if you enjoyed the interview, make sure you leave those 5-star reviews. Share this episode. Run over to YouTube because this video will be up on YouTube. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. And again, send me those emails if you got questions. Jeremy@jeremytodd.com. Appreciate you watching. Like I say every single episode, you've got greatness within. This is The Positive Side.